Hello Lakers fan, if you are one of those who are always up to date with the news about our Lakers, then you need to stay tuned to what is coming up on our Lakers news channel. I am preparing exclusive coverage on the possible signings of LeBrons, and what I can tell you is that rumors are catching fire on social media, and if you don't want to miss any information, stay tuned. We have exclusive news every day. If you are a true Lakers and don't want to be left out of the news, be sure to subscribe. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Let's go to the video. Pelinka. Lakers will do everything to meet LeBron James' expectations for the roster. LeBron James gave it everything he had in the playoff series against the Minnesota Timberwolves. He turned back the clock and played some of the most inspired two-way basketball we've seen from him all season. But despite his incredible effort, it wasn't enough. The Lakers fell in 5 games. Now, as the team enters an uncertain off-season, questions swirl around LeBron's future. While he hasn't officially confirmed if he'll return for the 2025-26 season, there's a growing sense of optimism within the Lakers organization that he will be back, and they're preparing accordingly. Lakers GM Pelinka made that clear during the team's end-of-season press conference. He emphasized that the front office is fully committed to building a championship-caliber roster around LeBron, and meeting the high standards that come with having one of the greatest players of all time on your team. LeBron is one of the GOATs, not just in basketball, but in all of sports, Pelinka said. What we saw from him in this playoff series, his selflessness, his commitment to playing off the ball, his defensive intensity, that's who he is. That's the DNA of a champion. And we know he's going to come into every game giving 100%, whether it's scoring, facilitating, defending, rebounding, or leading. That's something we can always count on. So yes, we're going to do everything in our power to build a roster that lives up to his expectations. LeBron has made it no secret. He wants more talent around him. And with time running out in his legendary career, the pressure is on for Pelinka and the front office to act decisively. The 2025-26 season could very well be LeBron's last ride, making this off-season one of the most critical in recent Lakers history. Due to LeBron's current contract structure, the Lakers have limited flexibility in free agency, which means trades will likely be their best path to upgrading the roster. The good news: Pelinka has expiring contracts and some draft capital to work with, enough to potentially make a significant move. One thing is also becoming clear. Unlike last off-season, when LeBron was reportedly open to taking a pay cut to help the team make moves, that's not expected to be on the table this time around. With the end of his career approaching, LeBron is focused on winning, and is counting on the Lakers to do whatever it takes to give him the tools to compete for one more title. For the Lakers, the stakes have never been higher. With LeBron entering what could be his final season, the margin for error is razor-thin. Every roster move, every trade, every contract signed this summer must be made with one goal in mind: contending for a championship, now, not later. There's also an emotional weight behind this off-season. LeBron is more than just a superstar player. He's the heart of the franchise, the face of this era of Lakers basketball. His presence alone has elevated the standard within the organization. The idea of him walking away without another legitimate shot at a title is one that the front office, the fan base, and perhaps even the league as a whole, isn't ready to accept. Reports around the league suggest that rival teams are closely watching the Lakers' next steps. If they fail to build a serious contender this summer, speculation about LeBron's future could intensify, not just regarding retirement, but also about whether he might consider finishing his career elsewhere, potentially even teaming up with his son, Bronny, if he enters the 2025 draft. Internally, the Lakers know they're working against the clock. While Anthony Davis remains a foundational piece, the rest of the roster is filled with question marks. Key contributors like D'Angelo Russell and Rui Hachimura could be used as trade chips, while Austin Reeves' growing value around the league has sparked interest from multiple franchises. The front office will need to decide whether to break up the current core in order to bring in a third star, or double down on depth and versatility. Public reaction to Pelinka's press conference has been mixed. Some fans are encouraged by his commitment to LeBron and his urgency to upgrade the team. Others remain skeptical, pointing to past off-seasons where aggressive talk didn't translate into impactful results. The 2023-24 roster, while talented on paper, lacked consistency and failed to rise to the occasion when it mattered most, something that cannot happen again. There's also growing buzz around possible trade targets. Names like Trae Young, Donovan Mitchell, and even Kyrie Irving continue to surface in rumors, though each scenario would require creative cap maneuvering and a willingness to part with future assets. Given LeBron's timeline, though, the long-term cost may no longer be a deterrent. Ultimately, the ball is in the Lakers' court. LeBron has made his expectations clear, and the clock is ticking. This summer could define the legacy of the post-Kobe Lakers era, not just for LeBron James, but for Rob Pelinka, Jeanie Buss, and the entire leadership team. Another misstep could mean more than just a failed season. It could mean the end of one of the most iconic runs in modern NBA history. Rob Pelinka, Lakers fully committed to building a roster that meets LeBron James' championship standards. LeBron James gave everything he had in the playoff series against the Minnesota Timberwolves, digging deep, showing flashes of vintage brilliance, and playing inspired basketball on both ends of the floor. But despite his heroic efforts, it wasn't enough. The Lakers were outmatched and ultimately fell in 5 games. Now, LeBron enters yet another off-season filled with uncertainty. He hasn't made any public commitment regarding his future, and at this stage of his career, every decision feels monumental. Still, the general expectation around the league is that he'll be back for at least one more run in the 2025-26 season, potentially his last. Lakers president of basketball operations Rob Pelinka made it clear that the team is moving forward under the assumption that LeBron will return, and with that comes a sense of urgency. During the Lakers' recent press conference, Pelinka didn't mince words. The organization is prepared to do whatever it takes to retool the roster and build a true contender around their all-time great. LeBron is one of the GOATs, not just of basketball, but of all sports, Pelinka said. He's the ultimate team-first leader. In this playoff run, we saw him embrace playing off the ball more, step up defensively, and do everything he could to elevate the team. That's the mark of a champion. That's who he is at his core. And because of that, we know he'll continue to give 100% in every aspect of the game. Scoring, defending, rebounding, leading. That's never in question. But as much as LeBron gives, he also expects the organization to match his commitment, and time is running out. The window to maximize what could be his final season is narrow. That reality puts pressure on Pelinka and the front office to be bold this summer, especially in free agency and the trade market. James has made it clear he wants more help. And while the Lakers have limited flexibility due to salary cap constraints, they do have assets to work with, including expiring contracts and a few trade chips. That makes the trade route the most viable option for upgrading the roster in a meaningful way. Adding to the challenge is LeBron's contract situation. Last off-season, he was reportedly open to taking less money to help the team build a better supporting cast. This time, however, that option appears to be off the table. And it's understandable. With the finish line in sight, James wants to compete, not compromise. For the Lakers, this is a defining moment. LeBron James has carried this franchise through highs and lows, delivering a championship and maintaining relevance year after year. Now, the front office must rise to the occasion and build the kind of roster that gives him, and the franchise, a real shot at another title before the final chapter is written. For the Lakers, this off-season isn't just about making tweaks, it's about going all in. The front office understands that it's not enough to simply be competitive. With LeBron still performing at an elite level, the bar is set at championship or bust. The pressure is intense. If the Lakers fall short of making significant upgrades, not only could it waste what might be LeBron's final season, it could mark the end of an era without the proper send-off a player of his stature deserves. That looming reality has amplified every conversation around the team's off-season plans. Each trade rumor, each free agent meeting, now carries greater weight. The basketball world is watching, and so is LeBron. Around the league, speculation continues to build around potential trade targets. Atlanta's Trae Young has been mentioned as a possible fit, with his offensive firepower and star presence offering a potential third cornerstone alongside LeBron and Anthony Davis. Other names like Zach LaVine, DeJounte Murray, and even Donovan Mitchell have circulated in insider circles. The challenge? Finding the right deal without completely mortgaging the team's future. Internally, the Lakers have tough decisions to make. Players like D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura, and Jard Vanderbilt could all be included in trade packages, and while Austin Reeves has grown into a fan favorite, his rising value has attracted attention from teams across the league. Pelinka and his staff must weigh chemistry against upside, continuity against star power. Outside of basketball operations, there's a ripple effect taking place within the fan base and media. Supporters are passionate but anxious. Many are voicing concerns about the team's direction, questioning whether the front office can deliver when it matters most. Pelinka's recent remarks have given some hope, but for a fan base accustomed to banners, hope needs to be followed by action. And of course, there's the looming storyline of Bronny James. If Bronny declares for the 2025 NBA draft, and if LeBron truly wants to play alongside his son before retiring, it could influence everything, from draft night strategy to free agency and even roster construction. The Lakers may be positioning themselves to make that dream a reality, but doing so without sacrificing competitiveness will be a delicate balancing act. Ultimately, this off-season is about legacy. Not just LeBron's, but the Lakers as a franchise. Their next moves will define how this chapter in their storied history is remembered, as a golden finish to one of the game's greatest careers, or as a missed opportunity that faded too soon. The pressure is real, the timeline is tight, and the expectations are sky-high. But if there's one thing LeBron James has consistently proven throughout his career, it's this: give him the right pieces, and he can still defy the odds. Now, it's up to the Lakers to make sure they deliver. Rich Paul reflects on Lakers' missteps in Anthony Davis trade. It's just a fact. Super agent Rich Paul recently spoke out about one of the most talked about moves in recent Lakers history, the blockbuster trade that sent his client, Anthony Davis, out of Los Angeles and brought Luka Doncic to the purple and gold just before the trade deadline. The deal, masterminded by Lakers GM Rob Pelinka and heavily influenced by Mavs executive Nico Harrison, drew immediate reactions across the NBA landscape. Critics pointed fingers at Harrison for parting ways with Dallas franchise cornerstone in exchange for an aging, injury-prone Davis. And in the months since, the skepticism has only grown. Anthony Davis has struggled to stay consistently healthy since the trade, while Doncic has continued to put up MVP-level performances. Even so, the Lakers, despite their star power, were bounced from the playoffs in the first round after a 4-1 series loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves, a sobering end to a season that started with so much promise. While the final verdict on the trade may still be years away, Rich Paul has made his perspective clear. Speaking candidly, he didn't sugarcoat the reality of where the Lakers stand. "I never really believed that the Lakers roster was built to be a true contender," Paul said. "That's not an excuse, it's just a fact." Paul, who also represents LeBron James and has deep ties within the Lakers' inner circle, pointed to a fundamental issue that many teams struggle with: trying to win now while also building for the future. "It's incredibly difficult to construct a roster that's built for both today and tomorrow," he explained. "You can't operate with an empty cupboard. You need assets. You need cap flexibility. You need young players who are developing and improving." He added, "When you don't have those pieces, you end up leaning entirely on your biggest names. And in this league, names alone don't win games anymore." Paul's comments resonate even more considering the uncertainty that continues to surround LeBron's future in LA. While James recently left fans guessing with a cryptic post-game statement, NBA insider Shams Charania has since confirmed that LeBron is expected to return for at least one more season, giving the Lakers a slim, but real, window to chase another title. With Doncic now at the center of the franchise, there's no question the Lakers still have star power. But this year's playoff exit made it clear, one or two stars aren't enough. The team still needs another high-impact player to push them over the top. Pelinka seems to agree. Reports suggest the Lakers plan to aggressively pursue a top-tier center in the off-season, a move that could help fix glaring holes on the defensive end, particularly after losing Davis, who had long anchored that side of the floor. For Doncic, the trade was an opportunity to take the reins of one of the NBA's most storied franchises, but it also came with pressure. And after the early playoff exit, even he acknowledged that improvement is needed on his part, especially on defense. Still, Doncic gives the Lakers something they haven't had since peak LeBron, a young superstar in his prime, capable of taking over games at will. But if LA wants to capitalize on this rare combination of youth and experience, the front office must act decisively this summer, with smarter roster building, deeper support, and a clearer long-term vision. The Lakers gambled big. And while they gained an elite offensive weapon in Doncic, the price they paid, losing a defensive cornerstone like Davis, continues to cast a shadow. Now the challenge is clear: build the right team around Luka, give LeBron one more shot at a title, and make sure the window doesn't slam shut before it ever really opens. The ripple effects of the Anthony Davis-Luka Doncic trade are still being felt throughout the NBA, not just in Los Angeles, but across the league. While the deal gave the Lakers a generational offensive talent in Doncic, it also exposed the fragility of building a championship team without a solid defensive foundation or reliable depth. Former teammates and league analysts have weighed in, many suggesting the Lakers underestimated how much Davis anchored their identity on defense. Losing AD wasn't just about losing a player, it was about losing a system, said one former Lakers assistant anonymously. He covered up so many holes. Without him, those weaknesses were on full display. Indeed, the first-round exit against the Timberwolves was a wake-up call. Minnesota didn't just beat the Lakers, they overwhelmed them. Despite Luka's dazzling offensive showings, the Lakers simply couldn't contain the Wolves' balanced attack. Interior defense was a glaring issue, and the lack of rim protection left Donny exposed on the perimeter. With LeBron likely entering his final NBA season, the pressure on Lakers GM Rob Pelinka has reached an all-time high. The message from within the organization is clear: this can't be a transition year. It has to be a championship push. Every move this summer, trades, free agency, even draft night decisions, must reflect that urgency. There are already whispers that the Lakers will aggressively target veteran big men this offseason, with names like Miles Turner, Jonas Valanciunas, and even Brook Lopez surfacing as potential options. Any of these additions would bring much-needed defensive presence in the paint and relieve some pressure from Donny on the back end. Meanwhile, Luka himself is reportedly committed to growing as a two-way player. According to team insiders, he's already been in discussions with Lakers coaching staff about defensive improvement and conditioning heading into next season, a clear sign that the young star understands what's expected of him in LA. But perhaps the most interesting subplot continues to surround LeBron and his influence on the team's trajectory. With Bronny James eligible for the 2025 NBA draft, some believe the Lakers could look to acquire a second-round pick, or find a creative way to draft Bronny, in hopes of fulfilling LeBron's longtime dream of sharing the court with his son. That scenario could serve as both a powerful marketing moment and a basketball milestone, but it also presents roster-building challenges. Is it realistic to chase a championship while simultaneously making space for a developing rookie like Bronny? Or would such a move be more about legacy than competition? Whatever the answers may be, the stakes are clear. The Lakers are walking a tightrope, balancing respect for their veterans, particularly LeBron, while making bold decisions to reshape the team around Luka Donny, who, despite his youth, has now taken on the weight of expectations that come with wearing purple and gold. And while Rich Paul may have described the Lakers' flaws as just facts, those facts now demand solutions. Because with the spotlight hotter than ever, this franchise no longer has the luxury of patience. It's win now, or risk wasting what could be the final act of two generational players.